be respectful to the panelists that were able to join us today. So for all the current, for all the prospective students that just joined us, thank you so much for tuning in. We see, I know it looks like Mackenzie, she's got her camera on. If you want to keep your camera on, if you want to turn your camera off, feel free, do what you want, but we do ask that you just keep your microphone on mute. That way it's just we're able to hear everybody that's speaking. But with those housekeeping items aside, I just want to do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Kyle Schwindler, and I work right in the admissions office. I'm also a graduate of Niagara University, and I'm super, super excited to be able to showcase the Criminal Justice Department today, and also showcase it in a number of different ways with a handful of our alumni, and also we have a current student on here that'll be able to walk us through there. But before we get to the good stuff and we chat with the alumni, I want to be able to turn it over to our department chair of the Criminal Justice Department, and that is Talia Harmon. So Dr. Harmon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for being here today, and for the panelists for their willingness to take their time out for our prestigious alumni, as well as our current student. I also want to thank the faculty for being here. And I want to thank all of you prospective students who are interested in our program for being here to tune in. We are very, very excited about the panelists and everything that we're very proud of them, everything that they've done, and all of the different avenues that you will see are ways to get into the profession in different ways. And we are, like I said, we couldn't be prouder of our alumni, our student, and thank you so much for fellow faculty for being here to answer questions and discuss different aspects of the criminal justice program. And thank you, Kyle, for organizing this too. So our first speaker, I'm just gonna call on people at random. Can we hear from Kelly? She will tell us her story and give us a little information about what she's currently doing.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Kelly Milliman. I graduated from Niagara University in 2010 with my bachelor's, in 2011 with my master's. So I did kind of like a joint degree. I did a master's in criminal justice administration. Prior to that, I did my bachelor's in criminal justice with a concentration in forensic science. So I also tacked on a minor of sociology. I lived on campus for 2 years, and then I lived in the dorms, Seton Hall. I don't know if it's still there, but it was the best. We had so much fun. And then I transferred off campus and lived in off-campus housing in Lewiston for the last 2 years, or I should say 3 years, including my master's year. A little bit about me. I am from Lockport, New York. So I was born and raised in Lockport. I'm currently living in Philadelphia, and I'll get to that a little bit later on. But I was born and raised in Lockport. I have an older sister who also attended Niagara University. So she kind of led my interest there, but I knew I wanted to do something in the criminal justice field. I knew that I wanted to do something law enforcement related. So I kind of looked at different avenues. I'll be honest, I'm 5'2", 110 pounds. Being a street cop is not for me. More power to them, especially in today's world, but I am not one to beat the streets. So that wasn't really my primary focus. I knew I wanted to do something more investigative, like, put the pieces of the puzzle together. So when I was at Niagara, I talked to actually all of our panelists, and then I should say professors, and then also Dr. Ireland. And I came up with a joint degree of criminal justice and forensic science. So obviously at the time when I went through, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, CSI was a huge thing. And that was my interest. I really loved it. I watched it on TV, but I knew it wasn't real life. And that's kind of what drove me to pick my degree. Niagara had a lot to offer for me, though. I mean, anywhere from the classes to the internships. I know one thing that stuck out in my mind when I was thinking about this panel was I did, and Professor Winkley, you can tell me the name of the class because I don't remember. I have mom brain, but
how can you forget my class?
The internship. So I did an internship with Niagara Falls PD, and it was for credit with one of your classes. And then I continued. So the guys there loved me. I loved them. It was a great relationship between Niagara University and Niagara Falls PD. But I was able to work this internship into a class for Niagara and receive credit for it, but also it was the best real life experience. You know, what you learn academically is absolutely what you need to build your foundation, but you will never be able to learn as much as you do in the field. So I highly recommend any internships that you can take. You know, if you come to Niagara and you go to Niagara and you take criminal justice classes, you know, a lot of the professors, they know people that know people. There's, you know, great relationships, like I said, with Niagara Falls PD, with Lewiston PD, all throughout. You can work in the courts, you can do all kinds of internships. That's where you will really learn what you need to know. Nothing beats hands-on experience. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. So I did that. I had a great experience with those guys at the crime scene unit of Niagara Falls PD. I was there for a couple years, and it really paved the way for me to see what I wanted to do. From there, when I graduated Niagara, this is a little bit of a shift, but I graduated Niagara and I became what I like to call a mall cop, and I took a job at Target doing assets protection. I did that for a couple years. It was more or less a little bit of investigative work, learned the ins and outs of Target, and kind of figured out again where I wanted to go with it. I was basically in charge of arresting people for shoplifting. It was great. It was a good experience. It was real life. From there, I did about 3.5 years there, and then I applied to be a contractor with the Drug Enforcement Administration. So I was at the Drug Enforcement Administration doing asset forfeiture for about 5 years. And again, I'm dating myself here. And then I applied, in the meantime, I applied for Secret Service, FBI, ATF, and to be a DEA agent as well. I knew that I didn't really want to do Secret Service. Traveling's great, but I knew I was going to have family at some point. I ended up applying for the FBI at the same time. I accepted a position with the FBI. I am currently a special agent with the FBI in Philadelphia. I've been here for a little over 3 years. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my experience with that. So FBI is phenomenal. It's a great place to work. I, again, will say it till I'm blue in the face. You can work one violation and transfer to another violation. It's like you got a whole new job. The opportunities are endless. We have a lot of different things you can get into, like recruitment. You can, you know, there's just plenty of avenues that you can explore once you're in. So a little bit about the FBI, and I'll just make this brief. So the FBI has a couple steps in their application process. Basically, you do apply, and then you go through a phase 1 exam, which is at a testing center. It's an online computerized exam. Then you do what we call as a meet and greet. It's informal. You meet with a recruitment team. If they like what they see and they like your resume, you go from there and you take a physical fitness test. If you pass that physical fitness test, you go on to what's a phase 2 test, which is a written interview and an oral interview. The written part, again, is another computerized test with some actual written essays. And I can tell you that during my written interview, I used a lot of my experience from Niagara, a lot of my knowledge that I learned there. So it's very applicable. And then after that, you know, you go into a background, a polygraph, a medical exam. And I just will say one thing that you will hear throughout, I'm sure, you know, if you go to Niagara, one thing that's probably spoke about quite a bit now is social media. You know, it's never going away. It's in our day and age. But one thing I really will hone in on is, as seniors in college, you know, you're starting to get your feet under yourself, but it's really important to make those smart decisions online. Anything you put online can be traced. It can be found, whether you delete it or not, it's still there. The FBI has ways of finding out, and they will find out. So I'll just tell you, you know, as seniors, you're going to have fun. You're going to do what you want, but be very smart about what you post online. Any college you go to, you know, it will follow you. It can haunt you. You know, it can do great things for you, but it can also haunt you. So just, you know, that's one really, really thing that I wanted to make very important. But yeah, I mean, I had a phenomenal experience at Niagara. I love it. I'm from the area. My sister went there. We talk about it all the time. I was very close with Dr. Harmon for many, many years. You know, I had a wonderful, wonderful experience there. I can't say enough of how welcoming the department is, but also how it's more family-like. Like, you know, you don't go to this gigantic school where you're 1 in 1,000. You go to a smaller school where people know your name, the professors know you, you have that one-on-one experience. You have a question, you get an answer. If they don't know, they find out. It's not like you're forgotten about. And I think that speaks volumes of the department there. It's been that way for many years. You know, it's like I talk to these panelists and these professors, and it's like, I was just there yesterday. That speaks a lot about Niagara and the program. You want your professors to know you. You want them to be there to help you and to understand you and just to guide your path. You know, Dr. Rivera, he's another one. I still talk to him quite frequently, and everyone knows, you know, you have an end game when you go to college, right? You want to get that degree, but it's more about your experience. And I think it's important to like where you are because you're going to be there for many years, but it's also important to like who you're with at that school. And again, you know, I'm not just saying it because they're here. I loved my time at Niagara. The professors are phenomenal. You will never get the education like you get at Niagara somewhere else. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's questions or if we're waiting for questions or if there's something that I missed that you want me to talk about, but I'm here, so.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It was so
welcome.
helpful.
You're welcome.
Kyle, are we saving questions for the end of the?
Yeah, that's a great question. If anybody does have any questions whatsoever, feel free that you can utilize the chat box. You can type questions in at any time. If you have a question while someone's speaking, they could potentially answer it right there. But if your question doesn't get answered right away, we'll definitely make sure that we go through and answer questions right at the end.
Great, thanks, Kyle. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for all of that, all that background. I think it'll be very helpful to our prospective students. So
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Of course.
Kelly, I need your email address, by the way.
Okay. I'll give it to you. I still have yours if you still have your old one.
I do.
Okay.
Talk about the boardroom.
Oh, yes. Well, I didn't get into the whole 20 weeks at Quantico because it's, you know, that kind of scares people off. But yeah, we can talk.
So next on our list of panelists, we're going to hear from Cheyenne, who is currently a law school student at Georgetown Law. So Cheyenne, take it away.
Hi, everyone. So I am going to be talking about, like Kelly, my experience at Niagara and how that's really informed and impacted what I'm doing now in law school. You're going to hear some of the same themes running through pretty much everyone's discussions today, if I could guess. So I'm going to touch on some of the same points that Kelly touched upon because it's really just going to show you that this isn't these experiences, these great experiences that people have at Niagara aren't isolated to one individual or a couple individuals. It really runs through Niagara as a whole, but especially the criminal justice program. So in my time at Niagara, I was a double major. I double majored in political science and international studies, and I had minors in criminal justice and the pre-law program. So when I think of my minor in criminal justice, I don't think of it as just a minor. I think of all 4 of those fields of study together as one whole field of study. So just because I minored in criminal justice doesn't mean I had any less exposure to the criminal justice field, because it's really a customizable experience. I wanted it to be a program altogether where my classes would overlap and they would inform each other. And that's really what I got out of the experience as a whole. So some of the experiences that I'm going to talk about before I tell you about how the criminal justice department really put me off on the right start in terms of law school, I'm going to touch upon internships, my study abroad experience, and then just my class experience overall. So in terms of an internship, the summer after my sophomore year, I interned with a criminal defense attorney in downtown Buffalo. And that was so informative and such a great experience. It's definitely an experience that I don't think I would have gotten if I had gone to another school. Not the internship itself, but the work itself. The work was equivalent to that of what a first year law student going into their internship would do. And that's not something I learned until this past summer, because I'm a 2L now at Georgetown, second year, sorry, at Georgetown. And like I said, it's not an experience that I would have gotten anywhere else. Similar to Kelly, I was able to get credit for that internship, and it was very much focused on, tell us about your experience, not so much giving you extra work to add on to the work that you're doing for that internship. So it made it so that it was definitely manageable, and it led to this deeper reflection of what I wanted to do within the criminal justice field or what I wanted to do outside of the criminal justice field. It just so happened that criminal defense wasn't necessarily for me. However, a different experience within the criminal justice department did inform where I wanted to go after graduation. And that was my study abroad experience. So I, myself, and actually Courtney on the call as well, participated in a 10-day hybrid study abroad experience to Germany, the Czech Republic, and Poland to study the Holocaust. It was a part of a dual class, if you would call it that, where some students could take a criminal justice related class about the victimology of Holocaust victims with Dr. Raditz, and other students could take a philosophy related course about the philosophy of genocide. I so happened to take the philosophy side, while Courtney happened to take the criminal justice side. So if she wants to talk about that more, she can. But when we got there together, it was really just this immersive experience that is so unlike anything else that I will ever experience or that I could have gotten from another school. We were able to visit different museums. We visited both sites of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And what was transformative, especially for me, was we got to go visit the Palace of Justice, which is where the Nuremberg trials took place. And for me, that's kind of where I put together the pieces of my degree and decided this is what I wanted to do. I saw how the intersection of politics, international studies, the law, and criminal justice could all come together. And it kind of instilled this passion in me to want to work to advocate for others' rights and to ensure that human rights, constitutional rights within the United States were upheld. And that really helped guide my decision to go to law school. So additionally from there, the classes, I cannot tell you how valuable these classes were when it came to putting me on the right foot for law school itself. Also, if you hear my dogs barking upstairs, I apologize. Being home problems, I'm sure we can all relate. But the classes themselves, they prepared me for law school in ways that my peers were not prepared for. Sarah Wetzel on the call is also in law school, and I'm sure she will tell you of her experiences as well. But there were so many experiences that I realized when I got to law school, other students didn't have. It didn't matter if they went to a school similar to Niagara, a school bigger than Niagara, or an Ivy League school. I was really on a different level than other classmates were. And this is specifically related to law school as a whole, but also the criminal justice classes. While I was at Niagara, I took multiple classes with Dr. Harmon, one of which was a death penalty class. And then I took another criminal law overall general class with her. And her classes, her courses, her exams, I realized were similarly structured to what I would find in law school. So when I got to my first year and had to take criminal law, I thought to myself, wow, this is all very familiar. I've learned this, I've taken this before. I was very prepared to talk about the different topics that we covered because I had learned them before, and I recognized that a lot of my peers had not. So that was definitely an interesting and informative experience, and it just really goes to show you how valuable my time at Niagara was and how valuable it can be for so many other students. Like I said before, it's such a customizable experience. You can really take from it what you want to take from it, and build from there. So when it comes to what I'm doing now, I am currently a second year student, like I said, at Georgetown. I am in the midst of my exams, but I really wanted to come back and discuss the criminal law program, the criminal justice program with prospective students, because it's something that really helped me get to where I am now. And like Kelly discussed earlier, the connections that the criminal justice department has are immense. Some of the individuals who I met with who helped me secure my internship with a law firm this past summer went to Niagara, and they had connections with the criminal justice department. And that's something that is immediately going to strike up conversation, immediately help you network and get to where you want to go, whether it be law school, a law firm, or the FBI like Kelly. So the opportunities are immense. And if any of you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll leave my email in the chat. If you have any questions about the experience of Niagara as a whole or the criminal justice department, I'd be more than happy to talk to any of you about those. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. That was so helpful. Really, really great.
Dr. Harmon, do you mind if I just add something really fast?
No, go right ahead.
So I got a private message, and I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher this person's name. Disha, I believe is how you say it. She was just asking me about some classes, and I was just mentioning to her, and I don't know, Professor Winkley, this might be your avenue, so I don't want to step on anyone's toes here, but the Law Enforcement Academy that's at Niagara, is that still running? I just was mentioning about that, like how they had, I believe they still have that program there, right? And that's something that's tied, I mean, that's great. It's hand in hand with the program. So I didn't want to forget to mention that if someone wants to talk about it, because I will forget.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, actually, I was going to introduce both of our professors. So Professor Winkley is our professional in residence, right? Our law enforcement expert. And so he is here actually to help talk about anyone who's interested in Law Enforcement Academy. So I will turn it over. We'll get back to the alumni panel, so I apologize, but is it okay if everyone's okay with it? We'll turn it over to Professor Winkley.
Thank you. And the academy, the police academy, is still going on. It's running through the COVID. They actually, because they're considered necessary workers, the academy is going to run through the academy or through the COVID. I'm sorry, I got to change my screen here. There we go. But the academy, we have what we call the pre-employment academy. The academy starts in September, late August, and it runs the calendar year of the school. It runs from September till May. It's on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings, and Saturday from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. It's the same academy as a full-time police academy. When you're done with the academy, you're 5 weeks short from a certified police officer. What that means is you are very employable. We have a 96% employment from the academy into our first president of the academy, Becky Gork, became an FBI agent. We've had other people who have gone through the academy decide they don't want to be police officers, but they've gone into private security, lawyers, federal agencies. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking too. You get 9 credits in each semester, so you're getting credits while you're going through the academy, and that also counts towards your, if you have to take a civil service exam, of course, to be a police officer in New York State, that counts towards your credits for the exam. You do have to pass a physical agility test. You do have to pass a background check. They're very strict on that. Because you are basically going through a police academy. And our academy in Niagara County is considered one of the best in New York State. And that's been that way for years. I myself am a retired police officer a long time ago. I won't tell you how long ago, but I've had some of my students as their students. And I do the don't laugh, Kelly. I do the internships, as Kelly said, and I do the internships. Sarah, I had you in my internship class. I believe you got into the judge's office. Criminal justice is not police, only police. We have internships in the SPCA. You say, SPCA, what the heck's that all about? We've had students go in there and they do the investigation into animal cruelty. And everybody who's gone through that has loved it. Matter of fact, they've gone back and volunteered. We do internships into private security. We do internships into courts, into the district attorney's office, probation. We've also worked very well we used to be able to get into the Border Patrol, but because of budget cuts, they haven't been able to do it. The ATF has been very good about taking our students, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, which the students have loved. They've been able to go up to Buffalo and blow up things. But what our job at Niagara is to help you get where you want to go. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. There's nothing better than seeing Kelly and Cheyenne and Sarah and Hayden. I just wrote you a letter, didn't I, for something? And Jessica, help our students, and of course Courtney, get them into the field that they want to do. There's no better feeling than to see our students succeed, and that's what we're there for, is to help you get to where you want to go. And we'll do anything that we can legally, because Kelly's always watching, to help you out and succeed. If anybody has any specific questions about the Academy, you can email me at any time. It's easy. It's rwinkley@niagara.edu. And just email me. I just got Kelly's email. Email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much, Professor Winkley. So helpful. And it is so true. That is what we're here for. We love teaching our students and we love helping them succeed in their goals. And the panelists are, just exemplify the success stories. So it's just great. It's really, really great. And I really appreciate all of you being here. So without further ado, we'll hear from another alumni. How about Courtney? Can you share your story with us?
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so my name is Courtney. I graduated with my bachelor's in criminal justice in 2019, and then with my master's this past May of 2020. So I finished my master's degree during COVID, which kind of ruined some of the fun, like in an academic sense too, which I'll talk about later. But so my freshman year, 5 years ago, I chose NU because I wanted the experience where my professors knew my name, they knew my face. I wasn't just a number. I wasn't sitting in a lecture hall with 400 students where I couldn't even raise my hand and ask a question. And at my first open house, I really felt the sense of home and family on campus. So that's why I chose NU my freshman year. And then I was a commuter, so I didn't dorm. And I still, throughout all 5 years, I made it more of a personal, I don't know the word. I just made it my task to keep myself involved because I wasn't making friends in the dorms, how everybody else does. So fall of my freshman year, I joined a sorority on campus. So I was a part of Greek life. And then my senior year, I was the president. So I would say with NU and the criminal justice department and Greek life, I really grew into a leader, which is now helping me in my current position. My favorite part about my criminal justice experience at NU was my master's degree. I got a scholarship that covered my full tuition, and I just had to work I was assigned to 2 different professors. Dr. Harmon was one of them. And I really was able to kind of dive into topics that I didn't necessarily learn in like some of my classes. So with Dr. Harmon, I learned way more than the average human about lethal injection and the death penalty in Texas. Yeah, I learned a lot about the death penalty. And then it was actually really cool. The other professor that I was paired with, Dr. Cassidy, he was doing research with the probation department in Niagara Falls. So I was able to sit in their office, and I was doing like record keeping kind of for Dr. Cassidy for the project that he was doing. And that's where I found one of the things that I was interested in. It's not what I'm currently doing, but I'd like to go down the avenue of probation at some point. So my junior year, I was in Professor Winkley's field experience class, and I had an internship with the Attorney General's office downtown. I was paired in the Consumer Fraud Bureau. So I had my own caseload, and I was working on like local businesses that were kind of scamming the customer or like your average consumer, and things like that, and just trying to get, if their deposit was taken from them, I was trying to get it back for them and things like that. And that internship was actually where I found kind of like my passion for like banking fraud and things like that. So I actually currently work for Citibank, and I'm in a fraud department, and I work with like the OFAC sanctions list. So every day the government updates who they don't want to send money to. So like people in Syria, people in Iran, businesses in Iran, and things like that. So I really like that my job it changes every day. It's updated and it's based on current world events. So that is super cool. And then the study abroad trip that Cheyenne mentioned, that was another one of the things that sold me my freshman year, was that the criminal justice department was taking students on about a 2-week trip to Europe. And for me, going for an entire semester, like 4 to 6 months, that just wasn't in my comfort zone. So the fact that criminal justice professors were taking us for 2 weeks was perfect. It was the right amount of time to experience what Europe and being abroad has to offer. I went on 2 study abroad trips, but I will say that the Germany trip that Cheyenne and I went on for the state-sanctioned violence with World War II was absolutely incredible. There are no words to describe how it feels to walk through Auschwitz and just everything that we learned the whole semester. So hopefully you can take what I've said as reasons to go to NU and join the criminal justice department.
Thank you so much, Courtney. These are just great stories. We really, really appreciate it. We're going to go back to Kelly for just a moment. She has something to add. Oh, it's no problem. Go right ahead, Kelly.
Courtney, like, I think our brains think alike, and I don't even know you, but so you were talking about your experience with the grad program. And so I did a graduate assistantship with the master's program, and I forgot to mention this too. So I think it's kind of cool. So, and this just adds to Niagara's awesomeness, for lack of a better word, but a little nugget. I take this to heart because I think it's awesome. But I did the master's program, and I participated in a graduate assistantship, and this was with Dr. Ireland, and his name is Dave Wayland, and I believe he's still there because I was on the website the other day. Mm-hmm. So he does this program called First Responders Disability Awareness Training. Mm-hmm. And and I don't want to misspeak, but it was started at Niagara. Dave is awesome. He has a son that has a disability. This is a very heartfelt project. And I had the ability when I was at Niagara to work on this project. And more or less, with Dave, we developed this training to teach first responders any sort of situation, like to respond to any sort of situation, whether it's EMTs, firefighters, police, you name it. And this program went out and taught these individuals how to respond if there's individuals with disabilities, signs and symptoms to recognize, so on and so forth. And I think this is so cool, and I love it because Niagara, I was able to work on that project in Niagara, and now the FBI, where I'm at, is like kind of hand in hand developing a similar program, and they're adopting what we've already learned from Dave and his program. So it's so cool. Like I love it so much. I'm like giddy over it, but it's awesome because when I hear about it and I'm doing these online trainings, because the Bureau, you have every training under the sun, and I'm doing these online trainings and it's like first responders disability awareness training. I was like, son of a gun, I worked on that at Niagara. Like, and it brings you back and you just realize these things that you might think at the time, like, oh, it's no big deal. I'm in a class at Niagara and, I'm learning about X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But it's so real life. And then it comes to heart and comes to fruition when you hear these things. I mean, who would have ever thought that the Bureau would be adopting something and learning from something that was more or less developed at Niagara and is now transferred down the line, and here we are. It's just awesome. So I wanted to add that. I think it just brings it full circle back to Niagara and that experience. So, and I promise I won't interrupt again. I have mom brain, so I remember these things as we go. So I'm sorry.
Oh, that's great. No, thank you so much. We really appreciate those comments. All right, so our next panelist is Sarah. Sarah is a first-year law school student, and she's going to share her experience with us now from Niagara.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are. No, you're not.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Wetzel. I just graduated Niagara University in this past May in 2020. So I was a COVID graduate. So that was very interesting in itself. I had a wonderful experience at Niagara, like everyone else here, and currently I am a first-year law student at Notre Dame Law School. So normally I'd be in South Bend, but right now I'm actually home in Batavia, New York for the holidays. I graduated from Batavia High School. I went to Niagara because of the theater program, actually. So I always say in these things that I'm the unconventional panelist because I kind of had a huge career transition as I went through Niagara. But that is one of the things about Niagara that I love so much, because every professor that I've had in every department has been super helpful in helping me to decide what sort of career I wanted. And getting into criminal justice was absolutely easy and seamless. I think my first time I got interested was when I observed a class that Professor Winkley actually was teaching for law enforcement. So that was very interesting, and it encouraged me to sign up for the program. In the program, I had a number of opportunities, many similar to the panelists that are all here and have already talked about, but some of the highlights I wanted to point out was I was able to intern with Niagara Falls Police Department under Dr. Lager. That was actually a paid internship too, which was really nice. It was dispute resolution. So I would be able to go and research local disputes under the crime analysts there. And we basically, every time a dispute arose in Niagara Falls, we'd take track of who it involved and create criminal profiles for those individuals and rate the likelihood that the dispute would result in further issues. So that was very interesting to be able to do. And it somewhat taught me that while I absolutely loved that, I wasn't sure if I wanted to work in a police department. I wasn't sure if that was directly the direction I wanted to go in. So I was able to also get an internship under Judge Clock, who does teach a number of classes. He is phenomenal. And under that internship, I was able to observe him in his courtroom for both criminal and civil cases. And that is how I discovered I wanted to go into law specifically. I also was able to do a research project with Dr. Harmon, and that resulted in a publication, which is going to be published in Wake Forest Law Review soon. So we are super excited about that. That was part of my honors thesis as well with the Criminal Justice Department. We had a great time doing it. It's on intellectual disability and death penalty, of course, it being Dr. Harmon, who specializes in death penalty. I was able to take the class Cheyenne talked about with death penalty, and it was, at least I believe it's the class that Cheyenne talked about. I don't know how many death penalty classes Dr. Harmon has taught, but very interesting, very cool stuff. And I
Thank you. I have to say thank you.
I
Sorry
loved
to interrupt.
it was a good time. And I'm just trying to run through a list of all the amazing things I've done, but the reality is there's so many interesting things that you can do through the criminal justice program that really tailor to your experience. And I did do a study abroad as well. I actually did the one to the UK. Courtney did that one as well, where we visited Cardiff, Edinburgh, and London, and we visited various justice centers across those cities. And that sparked my interest in international law. So as a law student now, I do a lot with global arbitration that I'm looking into. I'm looking into a global antitrust course next semester.
I think we lost Sarah.
Yep, I think so. I was gonna say, she
Yeah,
froze
I
on my
can't hear
screen.
her either. Is she still there?
We can come back to her.
Yeah.
We'll
Should
probably
we?
try to get back
Oh,
on.
she will, yeah. You know what? In the meantime, while we're waiting for Sarah to get back on, I just want to introduce everyone to Dr. Taylor. I will be actually on sabbatical. I might actually already be on sabbatical, I'm not sure. So Dr. Taylor will be filling in. So if any prospective students have any questions at all, you can still reach out to me even though I'm on sabbatical, but I do want to introduce Dr. Taylor as he's going to be graciously stepping in as acting chair. So Dr. Taylor?
Happy to do it. And, you know, I not a good lesson, I know, with students, so I should be paying a close attention. I am, but I did send a group text to Professor Winkley and Dr. Harmon saying we don't even need to be on this panel because, you know, the students, current and former, are the real measures of our success. And both Dr. Harmon and I have been at the university for more than 20 years. And so we've seen so many fantastic students come through our program. But the folks you're hearing from today are probably absolutely the best. So so I'm hoping you're enjoying it. And yeah, I put both my email as well as Dr. Harmon and Professor Winkley's email in the chat, but I'm sure Kyle can also get you that information as well. So nice to meet all of you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Taylor. Really appreciate it. And Kyle, do we know the status on Sarah? Is she?
She is back. She is
She's back. Okay, great.
Nice.
So hi, Sarah.
Hi. My connection is not the best here. I apologize. But I was pretty much wrapping up at that point. I just would like to say as well, if you're at all interested in law or criminal justice, feel free to contact me at any time. I have not say enough great things about the program.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Sorry we lost you there for a minute or two, but thank you so much for your words and good luck. And now we'll actually shift focus to hear from a current student. So Jessica, we'll turn over to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I just wasn't sure. So everyone really, there's so many like similar themes that like I've heard this afternoon, and I feel very similar just about Niagara and the criminal justice program in particular. And it's kind of interesting for me. First of all, my name's Jessica Pitingolo. I'm actually a transfer student. I finally came to Niagara January 2020, so last spring semester, right before COVID. But it was a little over a year ago. I was at one of these open house things, and it wasn't specifically for criminal justice, but everyone was just so enthusiastic for Niagara. And I'll be honest, like I wasn't sure, like, you know, are they just trying to sell it, or, you know, is this something real? And well, I'll get more into like some of my experiences, but let me go back. As a transfer student, I am considered, like, I guess the term's non-traditional. And from the beginning of returning to school, my objectives were really different from when I received my first associate's degree back in the 2000s. So I'm dating myself. I used to be a licensed funeral director in New York State. So I originally returned to school in the fall of 2018. I started off with the criminal justice program at Erie Community College, North Campus. And the choice of this major was kind of just as non-traditional as everything else I've done at this point. But I found out not only did I do well in the subject, but I fell in love with all aspects of criminal justice. And as I began looking into the topic and the foundations that were built at that time, I just began to see everything around the world differently and just how it affected my life and society. And due to my previous college experience, I was set to graduate in December 2019 with both my associates in criminal justice and also their crime scene technology certificate program. And at that point, I knew I wanted to continue my education. Like I said, I was given a foundation, but I wanted to expand and see where else it might lead me. And I was still very undecided about what I wanted to do with the degree and also what I could do, just given my age and life circumstances. So basically, due to those circumstances, I was looking at only local schools to complete my undergrad. So there were a few on my radar, and primarily I was targeting NU, and I don't want to like get into too many details, but one of the SUNY schools. And I don't mean it like disparagingly one way or another towards any choices, but originally I was actually leaning towards the state school with Excelsior, and knowing that I was like relying on a lot of financial aid and grants. And I was scared because NU is a private school. I'm a first generation college graduate, so I was doing this on my own and just had no idea what to do. So I was really intimidated, and in the end I found out it's important to think outside the box about this and just examine all my options. So moving forward, my first direct encounter with NU was when one of the professors from the criminal justice department visited one of the classes at ECC. It was actually Dr. Taylor. And everything about it, like, he just made it sound like such a great program. He was so personal and really pointed out like the student ratio was a lot smaller. There's not like these 400 student lectures to one professor, and the opportunities for internships and travel, and everything just sounded so good. And like Dr. Taylor, he put this emphasis on finding like a perfect fit or a passion, and that staff here would like, or professors would facilitate that. And after the presentation, he spent so much time personally with me and invited me to come like up to Niagara and audit some classes and see what I wanted to do. And he actually followed up with it, which was just amazing. And like, you hear a lot with like these open houses about like the Niagara difference. And like, I was very cynical about it. But since then, like Dr. Taylor followed up with me at that point. I met Dr. Harmon, Dr. Raditz. I went to an open house, met Professor Winkley. And I mean, even like on that day that I went to the open house, I was stopped by like campus security, and they just stopped me to see like how I was doing. And I know it sounds so silly, but like everything is so different at Niagara. Like, you're not just a number, like everybody has said. And it just really worked out for me. I ultimately came to Niagara, and I just want to get into, I started in January 2020. So I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place right now. So, oh gosh. So it's impossible not to grow attached to like the class sizes I keep mentioning. The program, whether you're undergrad or graduate level, the professors, they tailor it to suit the needs of any student. So It's something that just like meant a lot to me, given my circumstances and the reality that I'm not like that traditional criminal justice student that you hear so much about, who is looking to like join the police department or go into corrections. They really think outside the box and tailor it to fit for you. Even the courses, they fit it with what's going on, current topics. Dr. Taylor this semester taught a course in police reform that just really mirrored what's going on. And it just, I don't know, I'm just rambling, but.
I always ramble, so.
Okay, so I think that's good. I rambled, sorry.
Good job rambling.
Okay, good.
Appreciate it. Well, I think at this point.
Good job, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I really, really appreciate your comments. And it's really great to get a perspective from a current student and, you know, from all of the panelists. Thank you so much for all of your stories. But at this point, does anyone have any questions, right, Kyle? Should we open it up to some questions maybe for our panelists?
How about, does Hayden have anything to say?
Why, hello, everyone. Yes, I was actually just thinking about while Jess was talking as a current student, because I myself just finished up my last semester at Niagara this past fall, and I am graduating with a double major in criminology and criminal justice, as well as Spanish, with minors in psychology and international studies. And I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm looking to do next fall or next year per se, but one of the most integral things, I think, obviously the professors and so much of the administrative staff has been so supportive and so important in my journey. I also spent a semester in Costa Rica and then part of a semester in Spain before we got sent home due to COVID. But in my time at Niagara, there's never been a lack of support. And especially this year when I realized, okay, I'm going to be graduating a semester early, and I had talked to Professor Winkley beforehand, and he had turned me over to the Career Services Center at Niagara University, which I always kind of looked over, but they really have such an integral role with binding that bridge between professors and your teaching staff at Niagara, as well as with outside companies and in the workforce. And Mike and Stephanie were absolutely phenomenal. I actually applied for the FBI Honors Internship this past fall, and dishearteningly, just got the disapproval email today. But Stephanie and Mike, as well as Darren Schultz, I don't know how, I mean, I'm sure some of the elder students would know of Darren Schultz. The three of them were absolutely amazing in the process, like looking over my cover letter, remaining in correspondence with Sharon Menkowski in the Buffalo field office in the FBI. And they, like the majority of the other panelists have said, they really have that focus on wanting to ensure the success of a student, and no matter what they may want to do, or opening up doors that perhaps nobody had ever thought of before. And for that, I am very grateful, even though it was kind of a sad day to receive that email, but I forever hold that. And just I know, especially as Sarah and Cheyenne had said, that just the education that Niagara provides is just completely different from anything else that I ever hear anyone else talking about. And I have a couple other friends that attend some state schools, SUNY Albany, or even SUNY Alfred State, that talk about their criminal justice programs. And I always just, of course, without saying anything per se, but I intuitively compare it. And one of the biggest things that I always like is their focus on this interdisciplinary approach to criminal justice, and like with the corrections and Dr. Harmon and her courses, and that I know a lot of people enjoy, in sentencing and the death penalty, and especially even like incorporating the sociological approaches, like I feel as if Niagara is one of the only schools that offers criminology and criminal justice as a conjoined degree, and a lot of people that always surprises them and brings about quite interesting responses or curiosity to that. But yes, I completely affirm to everything that all the rest of the panelists have said, and it's hard to believe it's gone as fast as it has and that I'm already graduated, but it's been a great time, and there's a lot of great people, a lot of great professors, and a lot of great services that are 100% willing and able to help you out.
Thank you so much, Hayden. That's so
Thank you.
helpful.
Can I just add like one more thing? I'm so sorry.
Go right ahead.
And like it'll be more organized. Like don't start with notes and then think you can go off the cuff, I guess. But with the diversity of the program, one thing that I found was incredible is like for a small school to have as diverse of a course setting within the criminal justice field. But like what goes beyond that is if you have an interest in something that isn't already listed or that there's a course for, the professors, they're so passionate like to work with you like for an independent study to make what you want work. I think that's just great. And another thing is no matter where you may be, like on the like with Niagara's traditions of Vincentian principles, like whether you are from a Catholic background or another religious or even secular, that Vincentian principle of caring for others, especially like in the college society and outside of it, like looking into larger society and what the criminal justice system stands for, I think is so important and gives that additional edge to the program. And I just wanted to make that comment.
So great. Thank you so much, Jessica. Kyle, are there other questions or?
Doesn't look like we have any other questions that were sent over to me. However, I know sometimes it takes a little bit for everybody to feel comfortable to ask some questions. So as we kind of wrap up the event here, again, thank you to everyone, but I do have to make a small plug myself. So obviously I am in admissions and I work right in the admissions office, but I also am a graduate of Niagara and also specifically the criminal justice department. I will obviously working in admissions and criminal justice are two very completely different things. So I took a complete 180, but it's through the courses and through my ability of taking classes and following what I love is where I've ended up here. And there's no program that I could explicitly go off and just say that I just love so much. The criminology criminal justice program, our department as a whole, is a really personalized department. So when you get here on classes, you're going to be able to start taking criminal justice classes right away. But not only, you're going to be able to have an advisor, and it's going to be the same advisor all 4 years. So as much as some of you coming in from high school have a high school guidance counselor, you're going to have a full-time faculty member in the criminal justice department be your advisor. And they're going to help you through that process of taking the classes in the right orders. What are you interested? You want to end up in the FBI like Kelly? Okay, here's some classes and some paths that we can take. You want to go into law school? All right, maybe let's add our pre-law track into your field. Let's add this law and jurisprudence minor as you're kind of going through your 4 years. We're going to really be able to kind of look at each and every single one of you for who you are and really try and help you out to get you to where you want to be. And that advisement is super key because we not only have the highest graduation rate in Western New York in the course of 4 years, but if you want to start taking grad classes as a junior, getting a head start on that, we'll really be able to just set you up for success. And what we call it here is just clarity of direction. We want to make sure that we can outline all the different paths for you to take, and then you get to choose which path you go down. So we are a very flexible program where, yeah, you think of criminal justice and you might just think law enforcement. But as you heard today, there's so many different areas, so many different things, so many different minors. It's just a program that just has all these little parts and pieces that you can just make your own and really be able to have the best degree. And I'm so thankful for the alumni to come back on here, but it really wasn't a hard ask. I sent one email and they were like, yes, 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 we'd love to come back and talk about the program. It's a huge theme that we see with our alumni who go off and work at places like the FBI and then want to have Niagara students come and work for them and intern with them. It's this continuous relationship that we keep growing and building. And we have these alumni that are out there and willing to support and meet with you and chat with you whenever you want. So that's my admissions end. you do have any questions about finishing up your application, the status of your application, you want to try and connect with your admissions counselor, please, you can reach out to me. I texted everyone in this group today, so you all have my work cell phone number, and that number you can call or text at any point in time if you do have any questions. But it doesn't look like any questions popped in there, and that's okay. I wasn't a big question asker in classes as well. But a huge thank you to all the alumni who have joined, current students who have joined, and then Dr. Harmon, Dr. Taylor, and Professor Winkley. We really appreciate being able to kind of touch in and get a good idea of what the criminology criminal justice department looks like at Niagara. Now, I know we've been right about an hour or so right here, but Dr. Harmon, was there anything else or anybody else want to add anything before we go?
No, I just wanted to thank everyone again. And for the alumni panelists, please keep in touch. Let us know how you're doing in law school, at the bank, in the FBI. You know, professors love getting that feedback and knowing that, you know, you still are, you know, thinking about us occasionally, and that we are so proud of you as well. And we continue to have that relationship, which we really love. And for the current student, obviously we're here for you, the current students, to help you with, you know, your careers as well as your continued education. And I just want to thank Professor Winkley again for helping our students get the internships and potential jobs after graduation. And Dr. Taylor also for his continued support and help in the department. And you too, Kyle, thank you for always helping the department and bringing in our students. So I guess thanks everyone. I hope everyone stays safe. Everyone, you know, stays healthy, and happy holidays to everyone.
Yes. And the Bills game tonight, so go Bills.
Go
Oh,
Bills.
yeah.
We'll be
Don't have the
watching it
living
down
room
here, so
parties,
don't worry.
No living room parties.
Kelly, make sure you email me.
Was that to me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Make sure you email me.
I will. I'll keep in touch. Don't worry.
Some FBI stories I gotta tell you.
Take
Thank
care,
you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe. Stay
Professor
safe.
Winkley,
Thanks,
if you're
guys.
still there, and Kelly, I just had a quick
Yeah.
question for you guys. Was there any way that that I would be able to reach out to you or reach out to Professor Winkley afterwards to obtain your contact information if possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone has it. Dr. Harmon has it. I think Professor Winkley has it. Kyle has it. So yeah, I'm around and I can get you connected with some. I'm in Philly, so I'm Philly based, but I know recruiters in Buffalo. We have recruiters here in Philly. So we all kind of work hand in hand. We're one big family. So yeah, absolutely. Reach out.
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
No
You know my
problem.
address, right?
I have
You
yours.
what was it?
I sure do.
He knows my email.
Oh, yeah. All right. It was so good seeing you guys. I feel like it's just been like 5 days. Like, I feel like I just left Niagara. So
It's great seeing you,
Love it.
Kelly.
I love it.
Seems
All
like
right,
yes.
guys, stay safe. Take
Happy
care.
Everyone, I appreciate it. It was very great,
holidays.
very informative.
Of course.
Thank you.
All right.
There's-
Take care.
Bye.
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 How do I turn this thing off?
I'll end it for you. How about that?